Hello everyone, this is another video from Easy Electric series, and today we want to add the potentiometer that able to remotely control the VFD frequency and also the speed of the motor. So this is the same, these first three switch is the same three wire remote which we could start remotely, we could stop, we could actually change the direction forward, backward, and this one is remote potentiometer. We want to able to adjust the frequency. So as you see here, now with the start, I could start the motor, I could stop it remotely with this switch, again start. So here I could technically turn the motor forward, backward with these toggle switch that we have, and with this potentiometer we want to remotely adjust the frequency of the VFD. So as you see now, I could decrease and increase the speed and the frequency of the VFD just using these remote variable resistor or potentiometers. So you could see easily, instead of using the keypad, you could actually have the variable potentiometer to change the frequency. So stay tuned. So before everything, let's to take a look to the data sheet. So for adding actually the remote potentiometer, so we are having our three wire setting that we did in our previous video. So that means you have start, stop, and also one switch for reverse forward. We are adding actually the remote potentiometer that able to adjust the frequency remotely. So if you take a look to the wiring, this section is similar with the three wire setting that we had in the previous video, and this is what we should add. So we actually choose the variable resistor 1 to 10K. So as you know, the variable resistor has three pins. So the first one goes to the terminal 12, which is 10 volt, and the middle one goes terminal 13, and the third one goes to terminal 14. So take a look what's really happened whenever you have these variable resistors. So technically here is pin 12, which you give 10. Here is a analog common is your ground, and here is your variable resistor. You're changing these resistor. Technically what happened with changing this knob, technically the voltage that you have between 13 and 14, depend on where is the knob of the potentiometer, give you a voltage between 0 to 10 volt. So whenever you give this 0 to 10 volts, technically it's a percentage of that multiplied by the frequency that you already adjust on your driver. So if you remember from the first videos that we have for a VFD, we use the parameter P34 and 35 to telling the VFD what is the minimum and maximum frequency of our motor. So let's suppose we set that parameter 0 to 50. If I give half here in between terminal 13 and 14, 7 volt, technically I have a 7% of the 10 volts. So that means the frequency will be 70% of the 50, which is max minus minimum frequency that we already set up. So it should be give me 35 hertz. So if I put on the 5, for example, it is 50% of the 10 hertz, it should be 50% of the 50, so it actually give me 25 hertz. So it gives you idea how it's work, but in general, you just turn that knob, technically it's changed your frequency between 0 to maximum frequency that you adjusted. So this is actually what extra we should do to the three wire wiring that we did, which you see here, you see with the red and green colors that I add. Let's to take a look to the parameters, which parameter we should be adjust for remote potentiometer, the parameter P38. So if you check the P38, its default is 0, which says you actually use the keypad or driver potentiometer that you have on the keypad, which we did in previous videos. But we need to change that to number 2, which somehow telling the reference now is not the driver potentiometer, it is actually the 0 to 10 volt input that we have. So we need to change P38 to 2. So let's do run the wiring and see how it works. Okay, let's to take a look to the wiring. So for these three that you see here is exactly the same wiring that we had for 3-wire remote. So that means this is normally closed, normally open, and toggle switch. One side of them connected to a 24 volt, which we have on pin 11. So similar with the 3-wire, this one is the other side of the switch is connecting to the connect to 1. So, and this one goes to the port 2, and this one, the other side of that, goes to the 3. And for potentiometer, potentiometer has 3 pins. So we connect them to the pin actually 12, 13, and 14. So we start with this connect to the port 12. This goes to the 13, and this one goes to the 14. And this potentiometer is 10K potentiometer, so which able to remotely control the frequency of the VFD and also the speed of the motor. So before tested, you need actually change the parameter P38, which is the speed reference. Somehow you should tell the speed reference should be 0 to 10 volt. So for doing that, you come here as usual. You find P38, enter, and you should change that to the 2. So if you put on the 0, it says drive potentiometer on the keypad that you have. So 2 is saying, based off the data sheet, it's saying the reference is 0 to 10 volt that these potentiometer provide to the control ports that we have. So now let's actually test it. So start with start button. So it's actually started. So let's see could we change the speed or not with these variable resistors. So as you could see now, the speed is up. Whenever I turn this side, it's actually slowed down the speed and it slowed down the frequency. And even here, you could actually see the frequency and you could see how it changed that. So as you see here now, I'm changing these remote variable resistor, and you see I could increase the speed, and also I'm able to decrease it with these remote potentiometer that I have. So as you see, you could stop here, you could actually start again. So this one is forward backward. So as you see, it's able to forward backward the motor that you have. And finally we add these remote potentiometer that you are able to adjust the speed, and you could decrease or increase the frequency remotely.